guys, and welcome to the channel. It's Ioana here, founder and CEO of Supwell, and today we're back with another edition of the best marathon training shoes for those fall 2023 races. We got New Balance on the slate today. This is a brand that I absolutely love. Everything they're doing on the performance running side, also what they're doing with that Made in USA line with Teddy Santis. Shout out to all the streetwear kicks, the new edition of the 990 V6. Man, New Balance is absolutely crushing it. And so today we're gonna dive into some of those best running shoes for marathon training and that ideal New Balance rotation. Let's get into it. First up, we got the Daily Trainer. So this is that everyday running shoe that's gonna eat up a lot of those miles during those marathon training blocks. So those easy 6-mile runs, those 8-mile runs, should be versatile enough for some speedier efforts, but also comfortable enough for those everyday runs where you don't want to pick up the pace. And I'm gonna give you two options in this category. The first is the New Balance 880, and the second is the New Balance 1080. Now, these shoes exist in the middle of New Balance's lineup. They're not as peppy as shoes like the Rebel, but they're also not as weighed down as shoes like the More V4. And so the 880 is taking a dual foam construction approach. It's a bit lighter weight than the 1080, but it's got a nice snappier ride due to that fuel cell up in the forefoot, whereas the 1080 is nice and plush. It has a more padded upper, and that fresh foam underfoot is gonna give it a nice and cushioned ride. If you want something that's a bit faster, go for that 880, whereas if you want something that's a bit more plush and comfortable, go for that 1080. Now, neither of these are gonna be as exciting as some of the other Daily Trainer shoes on the market, but they are those workhorse shoes that can eat up 400, 500 plus miles, depending on what kind of a runner you are. They both have really solid outsoles, and with that fresh foam in the midsole, they're gonna last a really long time. All right guys, next up we got the workout shoe, that Speedwork, that tempo shoe. And from New Balance, that is going to be one of the favorite shoes that I have in the rotation right now, the Rebel V3. Now the Rebel V3 is one of the best non-plated tempo shoes on the market today. It's using this fuel cell midsole foam, which is soft and bouncy, really compliant and feels great at slower paces, but when you do want to pick up the pace, very energetic and snappy off the toe. It's really flexible, which gives a nice natural feeling, and if you are looking to build strength throughout your marathon training and don't want to rely on a plate for those tempo days, there's probably no better option on the market than the Rebel V3. It's also got a nice solid outsole rubber coverage, so it can double as a daily trainer. If you don't want to go with one of those slightly heavier, less exciting rides, this can do that everyday running work for you too. Next up, we got the recovery running shoe. Now, this is what you're gonna wanna pull for after those hard days when your legs are feeling a bit beat up. Maybe you're doing some gym work or some doubles on those tempo days. So from New Balance, we have the Fresh Foam More V4. This has a really thick stack of that Fresh Foam EVA. It's gonna be a nice cruiser for plodding along. It's a bit on the heavier and not responsive side. I tried this last year and I didn't like it that much, so I sent it back. But if you want something to just cruise, you're not gonna pick up the pace, then this is a great shoe. For me, I actually have started to like wearing shoes like this on my slower days where I know I can't run fast in them, so I'm preventing myself from running fast on a day where I shouldn't be running fast. And after that run, I know my legs are gonna be feeling fresh. I personally go for the Asics Gel Nimbus on recovery days, but if you want a New Balance option and you like a more plush feeling, not super bouncy, then go for that More V4. Next up, we got the long run shoe, and from New Balance, that is going to be the SC Trainer V2. Now, this is one of the best high mileage marathon training shoes on the market. It's using that same fuel cell foam that we see in the Rebel, but there's a plate in there. So the plate is gonna add a bit more rigidity, a bit more snap to the platform. With the higher stack of fuel cell, it is gonna go up in weight, so that carbon plate helps pop off and counteract some of the forces with the excess ounces that we're adding from the foam. Now, if you don't want to run in a carbon plated shoe and you are an efficient runner, you could go for the Rebel for those long runs. You could also use a daily trainer like the 1080 or 880 for those long runs. But if you are going to be getting up to 16, 18, 20 miles and you want to keep your legs feeling fresh and don't have a ton of race pace, then go for the SC Trainer V2. On those days where you do have race pace, you're going to want to go for the next shoe, which is going to be that race day pick. And finally, we got the race day shoe from New Balance, and that is going to be the SC Elite V3. This is using that same fuel cell foam that we're seeing across the Super Comp line from New Balance and in the Rebel. It's a nice soft and bouncy compound, and this racer has a much friendlier, more agreeable feel than some of the more aggressive shoes we see on the market like the Pro 3 and the Nike Vaporfly. It's also got a wider last than those shoes, so if you have slightly wide feet, this is a great option. It doesn't feel as harsh and fast as some of those other shoes, especially when compared to the two I mentioned, the Saucony and the Nike, but it is gonna be comfortable if you're finishing in 3+ hours and want something that's gonna keep your legs feeling fresh in that last hour, last 30 minutes. SC Elite is an awesome option. All right guys, there you have it. Those are the best New Balance shoes for marathon training this year. Let me know in the comments which of these you are pulling for. What are you most excited about? As always, thank you for liking, thank you for subscribing, and I'll make sure to keep you up to date on the latest and greatest in the world of performance running.